So a lot of you responded really positively to me making these little videos of this engine reassembly and going through some of the measurements and shit that you have to do. So I guess I'll make some more for you guys. So I'm now installing the pistons, which is not as simple as slapping everything together. You have to do more measurements because everything is about measurements on this. I almost cursed there on this project. So before we even go any further, you got piston rings that come out of the pack. They're usually machined to a certain spec, but you got to make sure like you do everything else. So we have our 3 sets here, your top ring, our second ring, and then our oil scraper rings. And then we're going to make sure that the gaps on those are within spec. And then we'll slap them on the piston, and then we'll slap the piston into the old engine block here. So I'll use the top ring. You want to take your piston ring, put her into the cylinder, blop, 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 plop her in. You want to make sure it's square for the measurement. So we'll take the piston head, push it down about 1 inch. There's tools for this, but I don't feel like spending money on a tool I can just do with the actual component itself. Make sure it's nice and flush. It's about 1 inch in. Take your feeler gauge. I already know what this is because I measured it. Feeler gauge, 21 thousandths of an inch. That's going to look reversed. I apologize. Take it. You stick in between the little slot there. A little bit of drag. That's what you want. You don't want it too loose. You don't want it too tight. And then you do that with all your rings. This one is about 21 thou. It's about 2 thousandths above the spec, which I think is like 16 to 18, but whatever. As long as it's not looser than 24, I don't really fucking care for street use. And you do that with the rest of the rings. This is also a trick you can do to ensure that your bores aren't warped. So now you already know what your gauge is for this one ring. We've taken it at the top. You can then take your piston ring, shove it halfway down, take the same measurement, boom. If it's a little bit lower, a little bit tighter, figure out what that number is. Do it again all the way at the bottom. You have your 3 measurements throughout the bore. Find out what the difference is between your lowest and highest, and see if that's within tolerance. I think like it's 3 thousandths of an inch tolerance total for these. Maybe it's 2. It might be tighter than that. It might be 2. And if it's way worse than that, then you got to take this to a machine shop and have it professionally honed out and even. That's like a cheap, easy way than using a bore dial gauge, blah, 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 blah. Or that old school way where you shine light through behind. Like, that's bullshit. It's not as accurate. But this is easy and it's precise. So for your oil scraper rings, it's not as precise as your top 2 compression rings. It's basically stuff these bad boys in there. As long as they're not touching. Like, I'm not even going turbo crazy on this because I'm not looking for 100% accuracy because it's not a big deal. 15th thou or bigger, it's 15th thou. You're good. As long as the middle part of your scraper ring isn't fully compressed in there, which it's not. It's loose as shit. We're good. So now we can assemble all this on my piston, which I have here, my number 4, which I'm going to clean up some more. I did a good job originally soaking it with ATF and acetone. And I cleaned as best as possible, but now I'm going to hit some more after it's sat with all that cleaner in it and transmission fluid for weeks now. So I'm going to take a final scrape. We'll put the rings on, and then we'll stuff this bad boy into the cylinder. Here's my assistant. Just like in the military, I'm in charge of the job. I'm assigned an assistant. He's not doing anything, lazing around, enjoying the sun. He's a Master Corporal Remy. He's promoted off his second language profile on his looks. Figures. Alright, I'm going to put the rings on. I'm going to use the arrow pointing up as a 12 o'clock reference, and that points towards the forward part of the engine. Start with the scraper rings because they're easy. So you don't want any of the gaps to line up. So I'll put this at the, whatever this is, 430. The bottom scraper ring, my gap's going to be at the 9. Top scraper ring I'll put at the 6. Sorry, the 3, pardon me. Pardon me for all you East Coasters out there. Bottom one's in. Second ring. You'll see it says up on it. Do exactly that. I'm going to install that at the 6 o'clock. And then I'll install the top ring, the gap at the 12 o'clock. Rings are installed. I put some engine oil on them, pre-lube them. I also did the same thing within the cylinder blower itself. Any excess will just get scraped off and I'll wipe it up afterwards. So you have to compress the rings before you put this bad boy in, or else the rings, as you can see, that protrude out, they're going to stop it from going in. So I'll put this on and then we'll get to putting in the piston. Okay, so the piston ring compressor is on. I'm just going to tap it down flat so it sits flush with the interior little bevel here of the cylinder. A rubber mallet. Work it around the joint. Till it looks pretty flush. Pretty good. You could also use like a piece of wood too. But now that's in. Alright, see, arrow's pointing forward. Now it's seated, it should just plop right in. Like a glove. Too easy. Alright, let's hook it up. I already cleaned up the bearing race on the inside. So I'll push it in a bit more. One thing we have to do is we've got to put some assembly lube on there because you can't put it in dry. So do that. These the old digits here. It's great for the skin. It smells great too. Your partner will love it. Put some on the crank. A little more. I'd rather be extra than under. And then some on the cap as well, after you clean it good thoroughly. It's sticky, it's gross. I know, man. And these split caps only go on one way, and a trick to know is that the tangs will always match on both the piston rod and on this. At least on these Coyote engines. On other engines like LS swaps and stuff, I have no idea, but I'm just gonna push this bad boy in a little further. Using my hand until it mates with the journal. Get in there. There we go. And I'll turn the crankshaft over a bit. Maybe. There we go. And then I'll install this cap. We've lubed up. Stupid 12-point bolts. These are all torque to yield, so they're one-time use. So after, you can torque them up, but once you go that 90-degree turn, afterwards it stretch the bolts. They're toast. You can't use them again. Do not use them again. And the end caps for this engine is 30 foot-pounds. And then you would torque to yield, which would be another 90-degree turn after you get the full torque, but I'm not doing that just yet because I'm assembling everything. And then I'll do the torque to yield. I'll do number 3 piston. Gotta do the double click. Doesn't count unless it's a double click. Beautiful. So that are my 1-4 pistons installed. Watch them spin. Whoa! Alright, passenger side done. Now I gotta do the driver's side.